The head of the Freedom Caucus, North Carolina Congressman Mark Meadows, today said the GOP still does not have the votes to pass their health care bill. So why can't Republicans agree on a plan? Let me ask Peter Suderman, Reason Magazine features editor and an Obamacare and health care expert. Welcome back, Suderman, Computerman.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about this a little bit. I think the problem is that the GOP isn't bold enough to say, let's take health care away from the government. What's really going on?
I think that that's part of the problem. Another way might be to put it might be that right now Republicans say they want to repeal Obamacare, but it turns out they don't really want to repeal Obamacare. And you see this with some of the holdouts, some of the folks who have said they're not going to be able to vote for this bill. What they're saying basically is that this bill doesn't protect pre-existing conditions in the same way that Obamacare does. Even President Trump over the weekend said, well, of course this bill will protect pre-existing conditions. It will protect them as well as Obamacare, is what he said.
Yeah.
And so what Republicans are struggling with here is they say they want to repeal Obamacare, but a lot of them don't really want to repeal the core parts of Obamacare, the subsidies and the regulations and the Medicaid expansion that are kind of the core components of this law.
No, we talked about it many times. They're basically renaming the individual mandate, and the subsidies for Medicaid are still there, and it will still see some expansion, and you know that perhaps has been deferred by a little bit, and these are issues within the GOP, which used to be a cost-cutting organization, but not anymore. So I'm really curious, where do Republicans go from here? Are they on the road to failure?
I think that it is really unclear right now. That's the best answer I can give you. The vote is close. It's possible that we could see a vote by the end of this week. It's also possible that this bill will never come to a vote in the House. However, I think that even if it does pass out of the House, it's really not clear that it has any chance at all in the Senate. Republican senators, folks like Rand Paul, have said that Rand Paul said recently that the House Freedom Caucus made this bill less bad. That is not much of a ringing endorsement. And so that is what we are seeing in the Senate. In addition, you have Republicans saying that even if they do get this bill and take a look at it, they're going to rewrite the thing. If they rewrite the bill, then it has to go back for another vote in the House. And the way that the Senate is likely to rewrite the bill will probably cost votes in the House. It's not really clear that there is some sort of zone of overlap where you can get enough Republican senators and enough Republican House members to agree. Right now, it's not clear that even you can get enough House members to agree. And that is in large part because Republicans, like I said, have spent 7 years saying they want to repeal Obamacare, but not really saying what they want to replace it with.
They have to make bold moves. I mean, now is the time to say the government is what is screwing up insurance and health care in this country. I recognize that those are two different things, and it's not just insurance. I mean, look at the FDA. Look at the number of people who die every year waiting for drugs to receive approval from the Food and Drug Administration. It is unconscionable how bureaucratic that element alone is. And then, you have people who, if they're fired, it's very difficult for them to get insurance, and more government and more complexity doesn't fix or answer any of these questions the way the free market actually could. And I think, if Obamacare has been a failed wading into the pool of socialized medicine, we need to pull back and go in the opposite direction and really investigate. And, I understand it's going to take some fortitude and a spine, but we need to investigate some of those free market solutions.
The history is very clear that so many of the problems in the American health system go back to government intrusion, in particular the tax carve-out for employer-sponsored health insurance, which was put in place after World War II, the price controls that are part of Medicare, which is the United States' one socialized, single-payer, government-run system just for seniors. And what we've done is we've created a fragmented system that works pretty well for people who have employer-sponsored insurance, but in which Medicare really distorts the rest of the market, in which you also have Medicaid, which has a lot of problems on its own, and then you leave out the folks in the individual market, which is what Obamacare tried to fix, what the AHCA, the GOP health care plan, is also trying to fix. But in a lot of ways, the AHCA is trying to fix this problem in the same way that Obamacare did, just by adding new layers of subsidy and regulation on top of the old layers rather than stripping away the old stuff.
No, they're adding more of what they know is problematic, and they're compounding the problem. Now, very quickly, we've only got about 5 seconds left. If this health care vote fails and Obamacare goes into a death spiral, are we going to see free market health insurance or single-payer insurance?
I think that there is a possibility we take a step towards single payer. It is likely that Democrats will try and step up and negotiate with President Trump, and he may say, well, Republicans couldn't get this done. I'm going to go to Democrats next, and Democrats are going to want something that looks more like single payer for sure.
Oh, that's awful. We'll all be subjects of the VA. Thank you very much, Peter. Good to see you again.
Thank you for having me.